Hi everyone, it's Rick Adams here from practicalcsm.com, and today's podcast conversation is with my friend Richard Goodman from Glue Group. Rich is one of the founders and principals of Glue Group, and his company provides strategic consultancy services for tech vendors, distributors, SIs, and reseller partners around lifecycle management and the transition to outcome-focused selling, and of course, the delivery of customer success. And you're listening to part one of a three-part conversation that lasted over an hour in total, and which went into a lot of detail on the subject of asking ourselves the question, resellers, are you a valued partner or just another supplier? Part one is the first 20 minutes or so of that conversation, and here it is for your viewing or listening pleasure. I hope you enjoy it. Hi, my name is Rick Adams from practicalcsm.com, and today I am joined by Rich Goodman, co-founder at Glue Group, a very exciting and dynamic business offering customer success, customer experience, and customer lifecycle strategy, management, and operation services to technology vendors, distributors, SIs, and, of course, resellers. Prior to founding Glue Group with his business partner, Billy Haining, Rich was head of transformation at John Lewis Partnership, a role which he'd also previously held at Waitrose, along with interim CISO. And before that, he was deputy CIO at Toys R Us. So I think it's fair to say that there is little that Richard doesn't know about technology and the retail business. And of course, with all those years of experience in what we might describe as customer organizations, that now stands him in very good stead when, if I can describe it as his BS meter needs adjusting, if I can put it that way. Now he's on the other side of the relationship, selling the strategic consultancy services to the same types of customers he used to work for. So he's got a good sort of understanding on both sides of the page. Rich, it's a great honor to have you here. Thank you for agreeing to join me today.
Hi, Rick. No problems. Thank you.
The title for today's conversation is Resellers. Are you a valued partner or just another supplier? And I personally think that this is a very timely conversation about a very important question that every technology company, indeed pretty much every company that sells direct to customers, and perhaps even some who do not, should be asking itself. But before we start unpacking this question, let's start with yourself. Would you mind, please, just giving us a brief introduction and perhaps provide a 2-minute overview of your career to date and your current role at Glue, please, Rich?
Yeah. So, Rich Goodman, I'm co-founder of Glue Group and Glue CX, and I started off actually at a company called SDL in a network background. Came up through the ranks, very technical. I then joined Toys R Us and ended up being deputy CIO for them. So I ran all of their international operations for many years. It wasn't my fault that they went under. So just get that on the record. I then joined Waitrose under the steership of Cheryl Millington and helped to run the transformation program, and then ran John Lewis and their transformation program as well as doing the CISO role. And one of the things that was really key for me is all of the partners, they came in and they actually tried to sell you value, but actually the value propositions were within the business. So understanding what we already had and were we actually utilizing those products effectively to meet our business objectives and outcomes. And one of the things that's always missing with the partners was actually understanding those, which is why I went and formed Glue Group with Billy.
That's really interesting insight. Right from the very beginning, you're telling us stuff that we all need to be hearing here, Rich. So you're saying that right from the get-go, right, selling value requires an understanding of what value means to that customer organization. You can't just go in and sell value. You've got to go in and consult first, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole thing around, you know, when customers are asking for value propositions from partners, what they're asking you to actually do is to help them go on a journey and understand what they're trying to achieve. And that was really missing from all of the partners that used to sell to me, all the resellers, as you say, are trying to sell to me, was, everybody would come in and sell the latest gizmo, which is fantastic. I'm a techie at heart, but the reality is what were we actually trying to achieve? How did that align to the business objectives and outcomes? And did this stuff that we actually invest in actually meet those? Are absolutely critical.
Okay, so the salesperson, the account manager who comes in and talks to the customer, and the customer says, "Look, we don't want products, we want value propositions." And the salesperson says, "Yeah, that's fine. Marketing has given me 3 value propositions for each of my products. So let me tell you what they are." That is not selling value.
No, that's not selling value. What we say, and this, selling value is to help the customer actually understand what they need to achieve. And when you actually go and position something that that not only is it ticking all the boxes around the technology, but you're understanding the people and the process elements around that to help that customer understand their KPIs or the return on investment back to the board. So whatever they've gone and done in the investment side of things, that they can actually say to the board, this has delivered what we wanted to actually achieve, and it's adding real value to our business. And that was a real different. That's why we actually started Glue, is to help partners on that journey. We're only a channel business.
Great, thank you. So we've gone way off piste just because it was just no. It was just very interesting what you said, and I so agree with you. Yeah, the word value. We must not assume we understand what value means, right? Value is it's like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder. So before we start talking about value, we first must agree with the customer. And in other words, not get the customer to agree with us, agree with the customer on what value means. But anyway, let's get stuck into what we've got ahead of us in terms of what we were sort of planning to talk about, which actually is very much along these lines anyway. So look, it's clear to me that if we're going to be a valued partner, like we're talking about here in our title, rather than just another supplier, well, that implies that we're delivering more than just a product, more even than a service, or indeed more than even a solution to the customer. So the value is what you get after you've had the product, the service, or the solution, probably for a while. And then you start to get the value, and the longer you have it and the more you use it, whatever that product, service, or solution, or combination of those things is, hopefully the more value you get from it. So being a valued partner means going further than being a product supplier or even a service or even a solution provider, and actually delivering the value over time. So that is value in the decision making, value in the help and guidance, and value then in the long-term delivery of actual outcomes. Would you go along with that?
Yeah, and so when we were both the organisations, and since then we categorise partners into suppliers. So those are the guys who are, I'm going to phone and say, can I have 50 laptops, or the commodity-based items. And they're great. You need those partners as well. Where we're talking about strategic partners and shifting from that supplier model into actually a partner model, is where the partner comes along and they understand what you're trying to achieve. They sit down and they ask you, where do you want to go? How do you want to go and do that? What are the value? What are the business outcomes you're trying to do? And then from that, working with you to understand what do you currently have in place today, and how can we make that better or more efficient, or grow that scenario within house. Or if we are going to go and propose a new base technology, is talking about capability. So instead of going and selling a product, and I know we've got a section around this later, but instead of selling an actual product, where we see value partners is actually being able to understand the capability and matching that to the business outcomes, because then the technology falls into that section. We've got the people and the process, and helping that customer really transform. That's real value. Transformation, despite what a lot of people will tell you, is incredibly hard. So it is bringing not only, it's not just going out and buying a bit of technology and installing it. It's all of the training that goes with it. It's the journey that goes with it, Rick, as well. And and bringing those people on that journey from a culture perspective, as well as, just going and implementing that piece of technology is absolutely critical. And is actually one of the reasons why a lot of digital transformation or transformation as a whole fail.
Absolutely, couldn't agree more. Yeah, all the evidence shows that the majority of projects do not fail because of the tools; they fail because of the people. So that is an absolutely critical part of it. But as you say, even before you get that far, you've got to know what the tools are that you need, and even getting as far as that, that is about adding value by having a consultative approach, right? So if we're selling product, really we're not taking a consultative approach. It's about have you got them in stock and what's your price? Okay, so as you said, lots of value in that. In certain circumstances, it might be that's all that the conversation needs to be. I am buying I don't know, whatever I'm buying photocopier paper. I don't need consultancy on it. I need a price on it, and I need to know if it's in stock and how soon you can deliver it because I need it. Okay, so for commodities and so on, that's absolutely fine. And even for more expensive stuff like laptops or whatever, so does it meet these specifications? And if it does, is it in stock and how much is it? So that's fine. But if I've got a challenge that is a complex challenge, and because in my business I'm an expert in my business, but my business has not had this challenge before, let's say, then I could really do with the help of somebody whose expertise is not in my business, but who has had similar experiences with similar businesses where that particular challenge has come up, and so has had experience of overcoming that challenge. And that is the exciting bit that a reseller or an SI or even a vendor, depending on size and scope and scale and so on of the project, can get involved in. Would you sort of get what I'm saying there?
Yeah, 100%. And customers now, they can't. A lot of people, especially during the COVID period, they can't afford to go out and just buy consultants in. What they're looking for is they're going to the partners, they're looking to them for advice, so for that consultative value proposition to be able to come in and help them do that, to go on that journey. Whereas before you might have gone out and got a contractor to come in, and they would have spent 6 months to learn the business and do their research and everything else. That is now more being shifted to, well, I can go and have a conversation with the partner, and they're expecting that the partner will guide them on that journey, opposed to, I'm going to come in and sell you, this bit of tech or this bit of tech just by different vendors. They do the same thing, but, they're just different vendors. And that's not really offering value. All that's doing is saying, well, here's 2 products. We don't care what you want to do with them. Just buy these 2 products, just buy one of these products. So where the whole market, or certainly where we're seeing it shift, is the customers are expecting more from the partners or the resellers. They're also expecting a lot more from the vendors as well. And they utilize this as free of charge, right? And we know what that means, but it's more about how do you approach the customer? How do you work with them to understand what they're trying to do, to be able to then go and deliver that sale? So, your customers, or the partners know their customers. They have fantastic relationships in there. And, instead of selling those 50 laptops or that refresh to, the customers decided, okay, I'm going to go with a specific brand, you should be asking the question of, well, what are you trying to achieve with that? Have you actually looked at the personas and everything else? And that's where the value propositions come in. Is that's true value to the customer, because the customer can then sit there, he's been challenged or she's been challenged to think, am I doing the right thing? And that's good, because then when the board meeting comes up and you're presenting back to the board as a CIO or as a IT director, you're armed with those conversations already.
You can justify your business proposal to them.
100%. 100%. And you understand the ROI.
Because you understand the ROI.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And because your business proposal is not based on technology, it's based on business outcomes.
Exactly.
In the first place. Good. Yeah. So, okay. So So there's lots of value in this for the customer. The customer effectively, has transferred a lot of the risk off themselves and onto the combination of the vendor and the reseller partner. By doing this, because what they've said is, well, look, what we could do is in the old world is, we could take it on ourselves to make sure that we're purchasing the right thing, either through our own efforts, which is our own time, or by very expensive third-party consultancy to confirm our thinking, and that's a big cost, and then a bulk upfront financial capital cost of purchasing it. And of course, if we find it wasn't the right decision, or just if circumstances change so that it becomes the wrong decision that couldn't even have been known at the time, we'll accept that loss. And we'll think again and buy something else. Now, what customer in their right mind can actually even contemplate that old model anymore? The world changes too rapidly for it. There's too much risk, too many unknowns. We don't know. We need expertise from outside. So the new model says, no, right, we're not going to do it that way. Instead, we're going to ask you, the experts in your product or service, even more so than the third-party consultants, you need to come in. We will explain our unique circumstances. You then can help us, between us knowing our business and you knowing your products and services, to come to the decision as to, is this the right fit or not, and if so, in what ways, and we build the proposal between us. And you're not going to charge for those upfront services, generally speaking, although there could be some professional service fees obviously there as well for for various aspects of it, of course, but generally speaking, what we're looking for is a commitment from you, the reseller, to join our commitment to purchase from you if you get it right. And so it's a shared, it's like the word you used, it's a partnership now. We used to be purchaser and supplier, and now we're partner and partner.
Yeah, and exactly like when you go into business, right, Rick, is you go in and you join forces, and you go on that journey together to go and succeed. So as the customer succeeds and grows and expands and wins, in whatever industry they're in, you as a partner are also growing and winning and supplying that partnership. And that partnership will go on. So the partnerships last a long time. Whereas suppliers, you get into that conversation, and I'm sure a lot of the people listening and watching will appreciate, is then a race to the bottom. And it becomes, say, who's going to take the least margin, and who's got the best deal with the vendor, opposed to actually what the customer actually needs, and where they're going to. So, the whole thing around this is to shift from being a supplier to being that valued partner.
Yes.
And if you're not doing it, someone else is.
Right. Yes. And I think that this is actually, it's exciting, but also quite scary if you think about it, because as you said, a partnership is a long-term experience, a long-term relationship, or hopefully. So if you get it right, there is an investment that has gone on. So the customer has invested in the relationship by taking the time and effort to go through the consultative process with reseller A. Reseller A now is up to speed on all of the business strategy and vision and mission, and the strengths and the weaknesses and the challenges and their capabilities and the gaps and all of that stuff that has taken hours and hours of explanation and uncovering and workshopping, and now finally customer A has got a reseller X who they can say, yeah, they're a trusted partner now. They know our needs. They don't want to go through that process with with 7 resellers for the same product. It's too expensive in terms of time. So once you're in with, if you like, a defense against your competitors, so that if you don't do it, as you said, and somebody else does, the risk is actually greater than before. Whereas before you could maybe undercut them, and because it's on price, now that's no good. You don't know what they know. You can't help in the same way that they can. So it's critical to get in and become a trusted business partner whilst the opportunity is there, whilst the door is open for that particular customer who has a need for that type of trusted business partner. Would you agree with that?
100%. 100%. And we see it all the time now, where if you haven't had that process in place, there are partners that are taking that kind of approach, and you have suppliers losing out.
Sorry,
Even
go
though
ahead.
they've supplied them for 20 years, Rick, and they've got that really good relationship, because actually they don't understand what the outcomes are trying to be done, those other partners are coming in and they're being disruptive because they understand what the business is doing. And it's really compelling. And that's exactly, why partners need to shift. They need to understand the customers a lot more. And this has been true, right, of retail right across the board. If you look at this from a retail perspective, obviously my background, the desire for retailers out there is to understand the customer in depth. So understand what you're buying, when you're buying it, your shopping habits, your buying habits, everything about that, so that then you can do predictions around what you're going to buy and influence that. It's no difference to the partners now doing this with the customers. They need to understand the customer better.
Absolutely. I think that's very, very well put. Okay, so look, the usual rule in business is that it costs money to make money. Okay. And my feeling is that outcomes focused selling, leading to this valued partner status attainment with your customers, is not going to be an exception to that role. So would you agree with that? And if so, what type of investment might be needed to move from being a supplier to being a trusted partner?
So honestly, I don't think it's masses. I think it's a different way of having the conversation, and it's changing the conversation with your sales guys to from being product led to now being capability led. And asking those probing and right questions, and bringing in the right people at the right time to be able to then start to bring that in line. So, we work obviously with a lot of partners out there, and they're now changing. So we do a lot of sales enablement.
Okay, so that is the end of part 1, and parts 2 and 3 will follow next week and the week after next. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon to be notified when new videos are released, or go to practicalcsm.com and fill out the membership form to be kept updated with all sorts of free customer success related content and discounted training offers.